If you have a website and you want to attract a lot of visitors, then really you need to be showing up on Google and getting some good Google traffic. So we need to think is Google's our God, our king, our queen, or whatever, our commander. We are a slave to Google ultimately. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but we need to keep this in mind that we don't want to annoy Google. We want to play by Google's rules, and we need to give Google what it wants. Okay, and in order to do this, we kind of need to think a bit deeper. We need to think, what is Google? What is Google trying to do? What's Google's mission? And if we understand that, then it helps us construct and create our content so we have a better chance of showing up. So what is Google or Google search? What is the point? What is their goal? Basically, their goal is to give a user, the person searching, the best possible information for the search they typed in. So someone goes to their search engine, they type in a question, Google searches the internet, brings back a list of relevant web pages and websites that thinks is answering the question being asked in order from 1 to 10 or whatever, 1 being the best. It says, there you go, this is what we think is best answers your question. And the way it does this is it crawls and indexes content on the web. So if you build a website, you want Google to know it exists, you want Google to crawl all of the content, and you want to index your content. And therefore, when it does come to answer a question, Google's got your content, it knows it's there, and then it can bring it in and show it to people searching if it's relevant. And therefore, what we need to do is, as website creators, content writers, we need to create content that we think perfectly or as best as possible relates to the questions being asked. If we're doing keyword research and we're targeting specific areas and questions people are asking, we want to make sure our content is structured in the right way for this. And there's several different things you can do, including your URLs, your headers, the keywords, and the way your content is structured, images, image tags. There's lots of things you can do when you create your content. And also, Google doesn't just look at your content, even though that's a major thing. It looks at your website as a whole, how good quality your website is, how old it is, the general topics your website talks about, how well it's linked to each other, and all sorts of things. In fact, there's a really almost secret algorithm that Google uses to rank web pages that we don't know, but we can guess at some of these obvious ones. There are other things, sort of how well respected your website is, and Google kind of judges this by the number of good quality links from other websites that it gets, because these are sort of like votes and things like that. And all we can do when we're starting out as a new website is create great quality, structured, targeted content so we can try and be as relevant as possible for the searches people are typing in that we want to attract and get in. So what we can do. But one thing, you have to be warned, there are lots of tactics out there to almost game the situation, kind of game Google, try and get around it, look for loopholes, try and artificially create backlinks, try and piggyback off other people's work and other kinds of things like this. And these sometimes these work, sometimes these don't, and they kind of turn black hat SEO, they're sort of known as, but that's not important. The thing is, if you try and find loopholes and you sort of get one over on Google to try and rank higher, it may be beneficial in the very short term, but Google keeps rolling out updates all the time to try and counteract this, because it just wants people that play by their rules, because ultimately it needs to somehow filter out the rubbish, filter out the spam, and only show the best results. And because, I don't know, 90% or something of the content on the internet is spam, Google needs to be really clever and also really selective and filter this rubbish out and just show the best stuff. And if people are trying to do dodgy things, create artificial backlinks and do paid for stuff or dodgy things like this, then it sort of alerts them to a potential bad website. So it's just going to say, well, you're not playing by the rules, you're doing something dodgy, you're probably not very good website. I'm not going to show your content anymore. And this can ruin all the hard work you've done, because it kind of, Google places a big weight on top of your website, and if it deems you to be a bad website doing bad things in terms of their rules, then you're going to get hit negatively. And no matter how good your content is in the future, you're never going to rank, and it basically ruins your website. There are ways to get out of it, but it's going to take time and probably money. So it's best to keep it simple and focus on the important things, and then good things will happen. And what this means is create great quality, targeted, useful content that Google wants to show to their people using their system, and then you'll do all right. And there are tactics later on that you can apply once you've got a website up and running, but this is something that you can worry about later. For the start, you just need to build up a good base of content around your topic. And another thing I want to mention is understanding what Google does and what Google's about. It wants to show the best quality results and information for what people are looking for. So if you type something in, it wants to show you some results. You click on it and go, yeah, that was great, that was really useful. I'm going to come back and use Google again when I want an answer for something else. And basically, most people do, because it does provide great results. And the reason it wants to do this is all free, but the reason it wants to do this is because it needs to make money. And people advertise on Google. They can pay Google using Google's platform to show up in search results. And people do this, companies do this, because they know Google is respected, and then people use Google, trust Google, and they'll also trust the ads that are there too. But if people stop using Google because it shows them rubbish results, because people doing black hat techniques are ranking their poor quality sites and providing rubbish answers to people's questions, then people will stop using Google, and companies will stop paying for adverts on Google, and Google will lose billions and billions of pounds. So Google's goal is to provide the best possible search results for the people using their system. So we need to make sure that we follow their rules. We don't try and do dodgy tactics. We need to just create good quality websites with great quality content that answer the questions people are looking for, and we'll do all right.